And we're live with Johnny Butler and our special guest for today, Ben Marcum. Before we get into things, that's just a couple of quick announcements. We've been doing these for a long time. We got all the replays are in the forum or in the Facebook group. If anybody wants to access them, there's a wealth of information from real photographers, real discussions, and some pretty good stuff. So I highly encourage anybody. We lost John, but that's okay. We can manage without him. I think his pizza's arrived. But no, listen, next week, we got Charles Gregory all the way from the United Kingdom. I've had Charles on twice before over the last 2, 3, 4 years. Charles is an amazing marketer / photographer. It's okay. Now he's got his headphones on. Now you can hear me. It's all good, man.
I just remembered I didn't have it plugged in my laptop, and it just came up saying battery low. I'm like, uh-oh.
That's what I call good timing.
Live TV, I'm telling you.
Well, we did our first ever 2 months ago, our first ever pop-up wedding in the backyard where we live streamed it. 10 seconds before the bride came out of her house, the screen went out. My wife's like, ah! And I had to solve it. Thank God my brain was working. Anyways, listen, we got a special guest with us tonight. We're real excited. Mr. Ben Marcum, all the way from Louisville, Kentucky. I'm going to ask you first off, Ben, a little bit. I want you to give me the short answer as to what got you into photography. But first of all, a couple of quick questions. Louisville, did you grow up there?
I did. Okay. I was here until just before my freshman year of high school.
Nice.
When we moved to Indianapolis, and I was in Indianapolis from whenever my freshman year of high school was, and I moved back to Louisville in 2000.
You couldn't stay away.
You know, it's a funny thing about Louisville. It's like all of us when we're like teenagers and kids are like, I'm leaving and I'm never coming back. And then we all come back and you can't drag us away.
That's what they say about Sudbury, Ontario, where I'm from. And but they have valid reason for not wanting to come back. If you were here, you would know what I mean. I mean, we got 120 years of raping the landscape with mining, nickel mining, copper mining. However, it's a beautiful little city, and they all come back. They all come back. There's always a soul to every city that draws people back. So, all right, quick trivia question. It is named after which famous historical person? That should be a cinch.
It's King Louis the 14th.
Something like that.
I always get my numbers wrong.
1778. All right, who's the greatest boxer of all time?
It's Muhammad Ali.
Well, of course.
And there's only one, baby.
I'm a big boxing fan. I've always said that, and I will stand and argue that point until the end of all time. You see, I got posters everywhere. I have a big, giant poster of Muhammad Ali standing over, I believe it was Liston, in black and white. I just love that picture. Anyways,
I believe that photo was actually taken by Louisville photographer Dan Dry, if memory serves correctly.
All right, I am writing that down.
Can confirm that. I may be speaking out of turn, but I'm pretty sure Dan took that shot.
Well, whether or not it's true, it doesn't matter. I'm going to look into it. I'm going to find out who took the damn picture because I love that picture. I love Muhammad Ali. That's a guy who, one of my all-time favorite heroes of all time. So anyways, so there you are. I'm going to ask you 2-part questions about your history, and then I'm going to ask you a marketing question. So first of all, what got you into photography, and how are things going, and are you guys in lockdown? I don't want to get too deep into those, but sort of like touch on those quickly, and then we'll get into some marketing, and then Johnny's going to take us into some techie questions and whatnot.
Sure. So I'll answer question number 2 first. No, we are not in lockdown. All restrictions are lifted. Nice. Vaccines rolling out. I got both of my shots, and Mr. Gates and I have regular conversations now. So no, like as soon as I could get to a place to get stuck, I was there. So very happy about that. So wide open, ripping and roaring. Nice. What got me into photography? It was an accident. And I took in high school, 95, 96, I took a photography class. It was just kind of a throwaway sort of thing because I was a theater guy. And then when I left the theater world, picked up I was doing websites and people needed stuff for websites. And I was like, I'll buy a camera. I remember how to use them and I can take pictures of the dog. It's a tax write-off, whatever. That kind of spiraled. I decided I wanted to keep some footing in the theater world. So I was like, well, headshots, I can do it. I could stay with my actor friends and great, fine, dandy. And it just spiraled from there. And
Cool.
here we are.
So you have a blend of the theatrical background. Were you an actor or were you tech?
I was a sound designer.
Okay, so you were more stage hand techie guy, behind the
Yes.
scenes ish, but you were well connected in that world. So because I know a lot of actors, and I've been connected to it in our city for decades, and they never seemed like they themselves were a techie type, but the backstage people and those running tech would seem to be, and it makes a lot of sense that you would. Interesting how you segued from that background into, well, hey, there's a market here, and you're doing amazing stuff.
Thank you.
So, and that's one of the questions I want to segue into is you have two websites, and now I do want to ask you which one, if you have like a favorite and one that you really that shine more so in. But the big question I'm dying to find out, and maybe John can show your screen. You have a lead generation tool, and I actually downloaded them. So if you saw my email come through, that was me. You have a lead generation tool on both your websites, benmarcum.com and benmarcumportraits.com. And you've got request a complimentary consultation, and you've also got request the guide, the style guide. You've got one for headshots, and you've got one for general portraits, which seems to be a blend of portraiture and boudoir. So where did you get that idea, and how's it working out for you? I love that idea, by the way. This is amazing.
Thank you. So, I mean, the idea came from, it's, I read a lot, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I listen to what other people are doing, and there's so many people going, the money's in the list, the money's in your email list, the money's in the list. And I was going, well, like, I've got like a MailChimp set up, but I don't really do anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so part of what I did during lockdown and COVID, I was like, well, let's dig into this and like start fiddling around and figure out how to work. And like, nobody's just going to like give you their email address. We all of our email boxes are like, I know at 9 a.m. when this thing starts buzzing, it's like, oh, I'm getting so much crap right now that I'm not going to read. So, I was like, I have to give them an incentive to give me an email address. And it's like, well, let's start with a styling guide and see what happens. And
I'm trying to circle it right there for you. Sorry.
Yeah, and then like I also have if you've not been to the site before and you go to leave, an exit intent form pops up as well to be like, hey, don't leave yet. Be sure to give me all your information. So it's the list is slowly building. I'm not going to say like it's a rocket ship or anything,
Right.
but I'm not putting tons and tons and tons of time into it either. I kind of set the thing up and let it go out and do its own little thing. I've got it set up on both of them right now where it'll run them through an initial sales funnel, for lack of a better term.
Nice.
That runs for like a week or two. And then if they get to the end of that funnel and they haven't booked, or even if they have booked, I send them over to a nurture funnel that sends an email like every 2 weeks or something. And it's really just a matter of trying to stay in front of people. Like social media has all become just noise and people are angry and like when people are on social media too, it's like, like they're not in buy mode, right? Like they're scrolling like, oh, cats are funny, which I agree. And so it's just like, this is another way for, even if they don't open the email, they're going to see my name in their box. So when they do go, oh, my boss said I had to go get a headshot. That Ben guy does it. Let's
that
go
Ben
see
guy.
him.
Yeah. That Ben guy. So it's a new strategy.
Relatively, I've had MailChimp set up for years. I just didn't do anything with it. It was just another thing. It was something that when I started up, people were like, well, you need one of those. And it's like, well, you only need it if you're going to use it. So
excellent project to get onto while in COVID lockdown. So here's my question to you then, Ben. Obviously, before that strategy came onto your radar, which I want to know where you heard it from. I'm guessing there's got to be a Dan Kennedy connection there, or at least somebody who was trained under Dan Kennedy, or I'm not even sure if you're familiar with who Dan Kennedy is. But what you said was pure gold. The greatest asset we can have is our list. So I really believe in that concept. So, however, before all this came onto your radar and you started implementing it, I'm assuming you already had enough traction in business coming your way. So you had built up a brand and things were working out.
Yeah.
So,
and building a brand, I'm one of 6 billion photographers in Louisville, Kentucky. Like, I'm pretty sure I can throw a rock out the window now and hit 3,
Yeah.
And, so it did take time to build that brand. Well, I mean, to start off with, when I started, in 2013, end of 2012, 2013, I sucked. And so I had to learn what I was doing. So I was trying to build a business and build skill at the same time. So it for me, it was a really slow process to get that name out there, but it also took for me to, it took me going, I'm doing headshots. Like, that's my jam. Because at the time when I was getting going, Louisville had an amazing fashion and editorial scene going on down here. And I was coming into that, and I'm seeing these folks and going, wow, they're all successful and doing this great work. That's fantastic. So that must be what you have to do to be successful. And so I was trying to follow what they were doing. And you come to find out later that a lot of those guys, while they're, wildly talented photographers, and they are also holding down day jobs. This wasn't what they were doing full time for their career. And that's not where I wanted to be. So it's I finally made the decision. It's no, I'm going to laser focus on this headshot thing and build a brand and a reputation around that. Once I did that, everything shifted. It's I actually started
really?
I actually started becoming profitable, which was great.
Yeah.
So so that's kind of always my thing on how I started as a brand and building a reputation and doing something very different than going to parks or doing weddings, or I've shot weddings. It's if I think I've shot a grand total of 8, and that was 8 too many. It's I don't, and I'm okay at them, but no, man, that's for other people.
Yeah, that's for me. I've shot over 800. I'm sure, maybe double that. But you said something interesting. You were doing this simultaneously, build a business while you were building your skills. So you were doing both at the same time. A lot of people get this perfectionistic attitude. I got to get it perfect before I get my, it's like a garage band. They got to practice, and they never actually get out and play in front of people. But obviously you had enough balls and gumption to say, I got to get out there and learn what I need to learn and stumble, and hone my craft. But I love the idea. What you said was you had laser focus. At the same time, you realized at some point you had to laser focus, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what. So I started my business in the exact wrong way that anybody should ever start a business. So it's both my wife and I worked at a theater here in Louisville. We worked at Actors Theater of Louisville. I'd been there for 11, 12 years at that point or something, and it was. By the time I was ready, and actually I wouldn't have left if it wasn't for my wife going, if you don't leave, you will literally have a heart attack in the space, which was true.
Really?
And that's my whole theater story. I loved the theater, my trajectory on it, and ending up as an administrator and whatever. It just wasn't right. And there was a lot of red tape, and my theater life had become everything that I never wanted to do. If I wanted to work in an office, I'd go work in an office. Anyway. So I left my job, and didn't have anything else. It's I was going into business. So it's it had to work. And I wasn't willing to go take another full-time job. I picked up odd jobs here and there, but I was no, we're burning the boats. This has to work. So that's what we did.
Burning the boats. We ain't going back. We're committed, 100% committed. Yeah. So
I like how you said when I first started, I sucked, because not a lot of people would admit that, because everybody thinks they were great right from the start. So
oh no, I was rubbish, and it was the absolute, and of course I looked at it was this is great. I'm so good at this, and it's no, At one point, Peter was doing an online version of the Headshot Intensive, and like he was doing a competition. Like you submit your best headshot, and whoever wins this thing is
Right.
you get a free thing to the online. And I was like, oh, I'm a shoo-in.
I got this.
This is easy. And so I sent, and like I'd never had anything critiqued before or whatever, and I sent it in, and I got shredded. It was brutal.
Ouch.
And like I come off of that, I walk away from that, and like my wife is there, and like I look like I just got hit in the face with a 2x4. It was, and I go back and look at it, it's like, oh no, he was completely right. That thing was awful. So it's, you live and you grow.
It. Yep.
That's pretty cool. And of course, we're talking about Peter Hurley, who we hope to have on here someday soon, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
We're going to try.
I'll let him know. I'll be talking to him.
Yeah, we're going to drop your name too when we contact him. So
please do.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I think Robert Noel, I think he said that he was a member of the Headshot crew too, and he's
Still
just in
is,
St. Catharines here, yeah.
Similar story to yours. And he has a tactic that I want to ask you about, just get your opinion on. When he's decided, he's about my age, so early 60s, and he's been in the game for 40 plus years. And then he decided, I'm only going to do headshots after a lifetime of doing everything. Mm-hmm. And he decided to go after 10 top key players in his area off of LinkedIn, and he offered them all free headshots. Mm-hmm. Because he only wanted to be able to say, look at who I've shot, and get things rolling. What do you think of that strategy? Or do you have something similar or thoughts or feedback? Or
I think if it worked for him, it worked for him. And there's certainly something with going, I know who I want my audience to be, and so I'm going to present as well as I can to that audience. Mm-hmm. So I think it's an interesting tactic. I don't know if it's one that I would have been gutsy enough to go, I'm going to give you 10 and go. Yeah. But man, if it worked, then
seemed to work. His idea was, and by the way, they were 10 individuals that he handpicked, and they were well known in the community, and he gave them a free headshot with conditions and whatnot. There's nothing sleazy about it, but it was to benefit them, and they all went for it, and to benefit him to sort of build up his portfolio.
Yeah, I mean, getting into their networks, because I mean, friends see, their friends see it and go, oh, who did your headshot? Mm-hmm. It's not a terrible idea.
So do you work with your wife? And do you guys have kids, by the way? I'm curious.
We don't have kids. We have 3 cats and 5 chickens. So.
Do they get along?
They did. So the chickens were totally a COVID purchase. So
okay,
but by her, it's
she just wanted farm fresh eggs.
Well, yes. Okay, so sidebar. So during COVID, I was working. Like I could have gone to the studio and worked and edited and websited, but it didn't feel right being there, knowing I couldn't bring people in. So I was working at home, and I was sitting in this chair editing one of my projects, and she comes in one afternoon and goes, "Okay, don't be mad, but I just ordered chickens." I'm like, oh. Well, all right.
He's thinking, great, Swiss Chalet or something, or
well, and we'd had a conversation, I guess, a month or two before or something, where she was like, I want to get chickens, and the same thing I said with the cats is as long as I don't have to do anything with them, go nuts. I don't care. Cool. That's not exactly how that panned out. So she ordered 3 chickens. They sent us 5. Did you know they mail chickens? They put them in a box and put them in the mail, and
I did not know that.
I didn't know that. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Do they drug them first, or?
No, it's evidently within the first 48 hours, after they hatch, they have enough super yolk energy or something.
All right.
And they're pretty resilient, so they put them in a box and take them to the post office. And,
that's cool.
They overnight them, and then when they get there, the post office calls you and it's by the way, you've got chickens. And so
unbelievable.
You go and you pick them up, and so we got ours. She opened the box and she looks in and goes, "There's 4." And I looked in and went, "No, there's 5." So
bonus. So you guys are getting farm fresh eggs now.
Yes, we are getting eggs. We are So which is great. I love them. And the chickens are fun too. We have flocktail hour with them. We'll go outside, let them out. We have a few drinks. They get raisins. So,
Your wife sounds amazing. Does she work with you, or does she have her own gig?
she has her own gig. What? Sorry, like my computer started ringing. Holy cow! Sorry about that.
I didn't hear a thing.
Which is
COVID.
good. Evidently, like my Google Voice is up or something. I'll get rid of that. There we go. Like somebody has spoofed my phone number.
Oh.
And so I am getting all sorts of like people calling me and being like, "Hey, I got a phone call from you," and I'm like, "No, you didn't. It's okay." But anyway, so back to your question. No, she runs her own business. She runs a business called Custom Wig Company. So she was the wig master designer at the theater.
Okay.
So she and her business, they build wigs for like Santas, cosplayers, historical reenactors, that sort of thing.
Nice.
So we have like worked together in the studio on a few things, mainly for her company, but we don't really do anything together creatively.
So you're on your own with your photography business.
Yes.
100%. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Do you do everything yourself? Phone calls, bookings, selling, and workflow 100%, or do you outsource any of that?
The only thing I really outsource right now is my bookkeeping.
That's good.
Yeah, well, bookkeeping and taxes, I outsource this.
Yeah.
But other than that, right now everything is in house. It's all me. I need to start outsourcing more of my editing. And I'm a control freak. I can't let go. That's on me. But as things are picking up, I'm not going to have a choice.
You're going to be forced into it. So I got to ask you about that thing that you just brought up about you're going to have to outsource. Now, are you talking mostly headshots or boudoir/portraiture, or is it outsourcing both? Which one is dominating for you, or is it a 50-50-ish?
Right now, it's about a 50-50-ish sort of thing.
Right.
So yeah, but right now, like all of it will get. I really don't like. I don't like editing that much.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
So
that's important to know.
Yeah. Well, I take that back. It depends. Like if it's one of my personal projects, like where I can like get in there and be like really zen or whatever, then yeah, I'm all about it. But editing, I have a short attention span. So like editing like 20, 30, 40 images of one person, I get really distracted by like a bird flying by or something, and it takes me 10 times longer.
I know the feeling. So you're going to be forced into it, which is a good thing, which means you're going to have to adapt, adjust, and just learn and find solutions, which I have no doubt in my mind you're going to find the optimum solution to outsourcing.
Definitely.
Because you seem to be that kind of guy who figures out the best avenue. But what I'm getting at is that if you're in that situation, business is probably good. That's a good problem to have. Right?
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm in a slow period currently. Louisville is an interesting beast where once summer hits, it always kind of dips. And like we experienced it in the theater world too.
Right.
It's like selling tickets to any live event in Louisville in summer. Yeah, you're setting cash on fire. So things do slow down a little bit over the summer.
Right.
But they are, and I'm starting to watch it now. Things are slowly starting to pick back up. I get a little bit like Al Huggy, Crystal Smoky too, and it's like I knew that I was about to be like studio homeless. Yeah. So it's like I have a feeling that the universe was going, we're gonna slow you down just for a second, and then hold on. It's about to get like funky.
It's gonna be like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
So I think that brings up a good point, because I was saying to you earlier before we went on the air, as I was watching your live feed today and you were showing off your new studio. Why don't you give everybody, maybe, unless Rob has more he wants to add to that, maybe you can give us a little bit of what happened in your old studio. I loved your old studio. I love that brick wall and that Renaissance look with the golden frames. Like you had an amazing looking studio. Why don't you tell everybody what happened in that situation?
So I love my old studio too. I was in downtown Louisville in this great old historic building. And I told my landlord a couple months ago, I was like, I'm probably not coming back at the end of my lease. The end of my lease is May 31st. I was like, but if I don't have a new place lined up, can we go month to month? And he was like, yeah, month to month is cool. As long as I've got 30 days, no problem. So I came in the day before the Kentucky Oaks, which the Kentucky Oaks is the day before the Kentucky Derby. And there was a note under my door, and I open it up, and it's a 30-day to vacate notice. So they had rented my space already. So I was like, well, and I'd been looking for a space, and I was working with a commercial realtor, and that wasn't going well. We were negotiating on one space, and that was kind of a disaster. My makeup artist and I actually were finding more places than my realtor. So, so I didn't have a place lined up when so like 3 weeks ago, I found a spot, but then we'd been like negotiating and doing other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we just I signed the lease on the new place last Friday, and they signed their side of it today. So I have a new home. In theory, I get to take possession of it this afternoon.
Oh, cool.
There's a lot of work to do in there. It is very yellow.
I saw that.
Very yellow. So like ceilings have to get replaced and like painted, and I've got a wall has to move and a bathroom has to get finished.
Right.
But even if I can just get my stuff in there, it's like it doesn't have to be pretty for me to work.
No.
What's going on around it doesn't show up in my frame, so
Yeah.
that's fine.
How big is it, and are you happy with it? It sounds like the ideal spot. You're real excited to be there.
I am. It is 2,150-ish square feet.
So it's 3 of my studios.
Yeah, I just doubled my size.
Yeah.
I got a hell of a good rate on it.
Good.
It's in a part of town that I kind of did some informal polling when I thought I was going to move, and like asking my clients on social, I was like, where do you want me to move? And everybody's like, go to the east side. So I headed out that way. There's parking, which is a big deal for everybody, because all my downtown spaces was all metered or paid lots, which people didn't like. So first floor, which all is going to tie into the website conversation sooner or later. It's good. I'm excited. I'm excited to get in there and get it transformed and get all my chandeliers and stuff up and, be all bougie.
And he's very much into that Rembrandt, that old style type of. See, if you've noticed, I've got some Rembrandt lighting going right now, just for Ben, just because he was coming on.
I got to make a comment. I got to make an observation. Can you show that screen you just had on there, John?
I sure can.
We are sending John back to grade 3 to learn how to spell. You made a spelling error. Sorry,
did I?
I hate to be that guy.
I'm glad
you're that guy that calls it out publicly.
Yeah, I'm that guy. And
this page here.
No, you had his website. You put portraits. You missed the T.
Oh, did I? Oh, that's what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah,
did I? I knew that. I was just testing it to see if you're actually paying attention.
Well, there you go. I am. All right.
You're right. I did.
You don't have pictures that you've posted on Instagram or Facebook of the new place, do you?
No, not yet. Just the outside of the building. It went up in stories today and on my Facebook page today.
Nice. So you said it was all yellow. Is that from smoke or just historical wear and tear? And
the last tenants in the space thought it would be a great idea to paint the space that color. Like they did it completely on purpose. And it's not even that yellow's bad. It's just the shade of yellow that they chose. Like it's kind of like Dirty Big Bird kind of yellow right now.
I love that.
You got away with words.
Thank you.
Dirty Big Bird.
I'm not even touching that one. There's the outside.
Yeah, there's my new door. So
that's a nice looking building.
Yeah,
it's
beautiful. Great. That's one side of it there, and then and I'm pointing at my screen like everybody can see what I'm pointing at.
Of course,
but
we have 4D capabilities here.
Yeah, I'm pretty, not always smart. But yeah, so it's about double the width of what you're seeing there. So that the side you're looking at there will be the office side of things, and then the other side of the space will be all shooting.
Okay.
Sounds awesome, man.
Thank you.
Just while you guys are talking, I'm just trying to see if I can find even part of your live today.
Well, okay, and while you're looking for that, I'll ask Ben some other random questions.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Do you have a favorite session? Like, this session I did last year and a half was amazing for this reason. Anything that come to mind, or?
Oh man, I mean,
could be anybody.
I mean, there's so much. Like I've done like some personal projects in the past 2 years. Like I did a Vonnegut series that I started in 2019. It was a 4-image series that actually what carried me through lockdown and editing that. I just finished up and released a Persephone series. It was going to be a 1-image deal, and then it turned into 3 images. There's a ton of client stuff that I like really love. And I'm one of those artists that is like, I'll shoot something and I'll love it, and then like I'll go to work on it and I'll hate it, and I'll just rage against it, and then I'll finish it, and then I'll be like, oh, well, that's pretty okay.
All right.
And then like a year or 2 later, I'll look at it again and be like, did I look through the right end of the camera? What did I do? So I'm that roller coaster guy.
You sound like a typical artist. It's never a straight line, never binary. Well, for some it is. I always admire those who are technically, creatively precise and consistent, but we'll talk about that another day. But so you did these projects. I kind of miss what you were saying when you put the title and the name to those projects, those personal projects you had done. What were they called again?
So the Vanitas series, Vanitas was a start. It was the Dutch started it.
Right. Okay. Cool. How do you spell that?
I suck at spelling. Vanitas Mouse.
I've never heard of that before. I thought I've heard it all, but I've never heard of that. Vanitas.
Yeah, so it's a lot of symbolism, and it's about hold on to what you've got now, because it all goes away. It's life, it's death, and rife with symbolism. Right. If you get a hold of some of find some of the old Dutch still lifes, and then the Italians eventually got in on it as well. So actually the image that inspired the entire series was from an Italian artist, and then I went running from there. So yeah, that one was a lot of fun. It kind of pushed me in some ways that I hadn't been pushed yet. Like I wanted to reach out of it. I did a little bit different lighting, and there's building sets and props and thinking through like what the symbols were going to be and things, and what story I was trying to tell with each image. And then the other project I mentioned was Persephone. So
how do you spell that?
It starts with a P.
I love it.
Hold on, I can type it, but then like if I have to say it, I'm gonna screw it up. And this is going on YouTube, and I don't need all the comments being like, "What's up with Kentucky boy not being able to spell?" And it was like, "Well, he's a Kentucky boy. That's what we do."
Say it again.
Persephone. So Persephone.
Man, it's one thing I love about these conversations. You learn stuff all the time. And Persephone.
Yeah, it's a Greek myth. It's really a myth all about the changing of the seasons. Do you want the Cliff's Notes version of it here, or do you want people to go? All right. So Persephone was the daughter of Zeus and Demeter, and she was out in the field picking flowers one day. Hades, Lord of the Underworld, Zeus's brother, had seen her, fell in love with her, kidnapped her, took her to the underworld. The entire time she was there, her mom Demeter, who is goddess of the harvest and all, was like, she went looking for Persephone and was like, look, until I find my daughter, the planet's gonna go ahead and stay frozen. And so the entire time Persephone was in the underworld, she didn't eat anything. So finally, because if you eat anything when you're in the underworld, then you are bound to stay in the underworld. So finally Zeus was like, hey, Hades, people are dying because they can't grow crops, so you got to let Persephone go. On Persephone's way out, or as she was leaving, she ate 6 pomegranate seeds. Some people say 4, some say 6, some say 3. So now she's bound to the underworld. So there was a deal struck between Hades and Demeter and Persephone and everybody. It was like, okay, well, you'll spend 3 months of the year in the underworld with Hades, and the rest of the time above ground with your mother. So it's the comings and goings of the seasons, really.
Amazing.
And I believe that's the picture series right there.
Yes. Yeah, that was the first. That was the one that was intended to be made. The next two just kind of happened because the model that I was working with was phenomenal, and we were trying with some things, and she was emoting so beautifully and got the things, and I was like, oh well, I have a series now, so here we go.
Cool. So these are fascinating. And again, I'm learning something new. And but I think what's more indicative is the fact that you are following these directions for your own personal growth, and you whatever you want to label that, follow your bliss or your calling or whatever. Something's drawing you towards this, and it's in one way, shape, or form through experiences and through your exploration of these different projects. It's going to help you become a better photographer in many ways, I would imagine.
I take it that's a composite too. So you must have how did you shoot her against a gray backdrop or?
I did. That was she was photographed in the studio on gray, and then I went to Louisville's here on the Ohio River, so there is just across the river from Louisville on the Indiana side. There's the Falls of the Ohio State Park, and there's a dam there and a fossil bed and whatever. But I knew that I could go get all the rock structure to be able to build kind of the antechamber to the underworld there. I got very lucky that the day before I did it, we got just a little bit of snow. So being able to get the snow on those rocks was such a cool part of that story, because the world outside the underworld is frozen. And so, I have never attempted a composite like this before.
Really?
So a good friend of mine, fellow Canadian, Alana Lee, who does beautiful composites, kind of inspired me and was like, oh, you can do it. And I was like, worst thing that happens is I screw it up. So let's give it a go. See what happens.
Looks pretty good, man.
Thank you.
I'm totally blown away. So I got to ask, John, do you have any, let's maybe veer back towards the headshots in that.
Sure.
And I don't know if you have questions about that, but I mean, I look at your portraiture and boudoir stuff, and I could see that classic Greek mythology seeping into it, whether or not you had already been aware of that or not, or fascinated by it. But
thank you. It's like I grew up, like when I was a kid, my mom worked at Kentucky Opera, and at the time when she was there, the opera was based in an old Victorian mansion here in Louisville called the Brennan House, that still had all of the Brennan's belongings and things. So it was a museum, and they also had like all the Brennan's like family paintings and things around. And so like I've been around it forever. Cool. As when I went to, Peter hosted an event called Headshot Mania. I taught at the first Headshot Mania, and I was talking with a good friend of mine, great photographer, a guy named John David Pittman. And like I'd been starting to fool around with portraits and trying to figure out where I wanted to go. But he sat me down one day and was like, man, you just got to shoot stuff that you want to look at. And it was like this explosion in my brain. And I was like, oh, that's the most, so that's like, I really started going, these are the kind of portraits I want to look at. If I had to be surrounded by art, this is what I want it to be. And it really opened everything up. So blame John David Pittman.
Well, I mean, you put yourself in a position that you were open and willing, and you were in that environment where he was there to give you that sort of advice. And obviously, it's what you needed to hear at the time. I love those moments when the universe just kind of cracks open, and I'm like, you have no idea. You just said something that just, boo. That's only, and those are to me rare moments and to be valued.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a cool moment, and love JDP. He's a great guy too. So.
That is so cool. So, anyways, what's his name? John.
Yes. I'm easy to forget. Don't worry.
I've known John for decades, so I'm teasing. The headshots, I'm just fascinated looking at them all. Maybe, I don't know if you have any questions as far as the tech side of things before we run out of time and I end up dominating this entire conversation. But
Yeah, no, I'm just, maybe some of the guys aren't familiar with Peter Hurley's style, like the triangular shaping, and even when they do the guys, sometimes with just the 2 strip lights or whatever. Maybe you can fill in how you're lighting these for some of these ones.
I mean, it's those are pretty much for headshots. The 2 setups that I use, I'm either triangle or like a parallel. The whole thing with like the basis of Peter's light, and when Peter started working with like and really developing his headshot style, it was a square. So he was using Kino flows at that point. I think 2 4-foot boxes and 2 2-foot boxes, I think. And the whole idea behind it was replicating a window. It's because when he first started doing headshots, he was in a little studio apartment, didn't have any lights. So he put his butt on the window and have his subject facing the window. So that's where the idea of that light came from. So that's really all we're doing. And it's, everybody puts their own little tweaks on it. It's like my lighting looks a little bit different than, Tony Tafe's or, Elena Lutkitz's. There's a lot of us who shoot the style. But we all do things just a little bit differently. She was a hoot. So I photographed her a million times. She's great. She kills me every time.
Yeah. Is it her personality? Does she just radiate some magnanimousness? And
yeah, I mean,
some people do.
Yeah, she's big energy. She's fun. She makes me laugh, and we've got a good chemistry. So we play off of each other, and then it comes through in her images every time. She's great.
I love it.
Now, do you find that a lot of your business clients like that particular lighting? Because I know some of them, I've started adapting that into mine too, but I do have some clients that I still do the traditional 45 degree with the kicker and hair light type of thing. And that, do you find people want that more, or do they more gravitate to the one you're doing now?
They don't know the difference. I mean, it's like, it's why would they? So they come in, the lights are set up, and actually what happens most of the time is, because like as you see, like I get them, I'm up in your Kool-Aid, I'm all in there, and people will come in and the lights will be set up, and like they'll walk all the way up to my backdrop, and I was like, oh no, there's come up here to the tape on the floor, we're getting in there. But no, and people do like. I mean, it's a flattering light. Like it fills in, imperfections, and it looks good on everybody, really.
And the only reason I ask is I know traditionalists, of course, photographers, they're going to be all saying, "Oh, that's so flat. There's no dimension. You got to have that shadow side," or I guess it would be this side here. And I mean, I like it myself. That's why I use it. I don't mind that flat light. I think, like you said, it's because Peter Hurley always talked about when he started, he was shooting like this and had this big bay window behind him, and it was just a flat light. But we're always told. Rob always gives me crap when I come in here and I have a flat light on me. He says I got to do it nice and portrait-like. And
yeah, and it depends on such. Right now, my lighting sucks because I'm working at home. So like I've got a window a million miles over there and an overhead yellow, so I look like garbage. But it's what story are you trying to tell with your light? What do you want the images to say? As is obvious with my portrait work, I'm afraid of getting shadowy and moody. Yeah. But with my headshot work, that's not where it lands for me. I want their headshots to be as versatile as possible for them. It's because think about how many places everybody sees a headshot now. Business cards, email signatures, billboards. I mean, you could walk down the street right now and probably count 20. And so it's like, I think that shot needs to be versatile and look good in all situations.
Yeah. And then I got a quick 2-part question, and then we'll kick it back to Rob because I know he's aching to get in there. But
no, I'm fine.
Hey, are you shooting tethered for most of those? And the second part to that is, are you like a lot of us, like with myself, a lot of my clients come in, they don't have time to stick around after they got to shoot and they got to leave. So, of course, I'm making an online gallery for them. It's the only thing I do online galleries for my normal family portraits, of course, in-person sales things. But with them professionals, they don't have time sometimes to stick around in the studio and look at your stuff. And we had like our friend Maggie on here from Oakville, Ontario here, and she's very big on, she shoots the headshot session there from, and then she brings them right into her office in front of her big Mac computer, and she goes through them with them. They pick the one they want right there. She touches them up right there in front of them, and then gives them off their files right there, ready to go, and they go home with their stuff. Like, which kind of tactic do you kind of gravitate to?
So I am tethered. I'm all tethered all the time. It's built into my sessions that you're going to pick your images that day. So they're aware of that before they go into it. I used to do proofing galleries. I don't do them anymore. I actually found that proofing galleries stress people out more than it helped them.
Really?
Yeah, well, it's because, they can't make decisions. And then they're sending the gallery to mom and grandma and, their best friend. And then everybody's going to have different opinions on different images. And now there's indecision. And indecision breeds no's, right? And so it's like, you know what? We're just going to do it here. Now this is off your plate. And it enables me to get your stuff back faster. So like if I was to shoot a headshot session right now, easy for me to say, then... we would pick it, and I would have their images either by the end of today or first thing tomorrow. So
you're not editing them in front of her like Maggie does.
No. I like a little bit of buffer, for my distractions to come in. But it's the same with portrait clients. Like if I shoot a classic portrait boudoir session, whatever. We're looking at it right out of camera. Like I am no edits, no nothing.
Yep.
We finish up, they go get dressed. While they're getting dressed, I set up the screen and off we go. I've actually found that has increased my sales, and also it saves me time because now I'm only ever going to edit what they purchased, as opposed to like when I was first starting to do portraits, I was very in the Sue Bryce method. Of going, great, I have to go edit 25 or 30 images, and then we're going to do a reveal wall, and and that works for people, and that's great. Yeah. I'm too slow for that to work for me, so it ended up being, time is money, and it cost me a lot of money. So.
Yes,
and it works. Yeah. I like what you said and about the fact that it confuses people. Which
even Sue Bryce. She does it in the reveal wall, but then you got to have a good printer to print that. I know she has the Canon Pro 100 or 1000 or whatever it is, and I know with my printer it wouldn't be pro quality, and I'd have to send it to a lab to be printed, get them back, and then put them in the little mounts, and that it wouldn't be all.
That's exactly what I was doing, and what I also found in those moments is for me in the way that I work is it was limiting my wall art sales, and it also put a buffer in people's brains. Like if I had a 25 image package, they went, well, there's 25. I'm good. So they could take what they had off the wall. And I've now stopped or made it more difficult to get to more upsell. Mm-hmm. Same with headshots. Like when I first started doing headshots, I had a package and it included 4 images. And so people would come in, do their headshot session, take their 4 images and bugger off. And I think twice I sold an additional image or something. Right. Now it's not uncommon for me to sell 6, 7, 8 images, and I'm selling, individuals because really? I'm not putting a governor on there for them to hit a stop point. So
really, so
I just actually changed that myself.
Do you think that that's largely because of your system where shoot, go change, I'm going to download, look at your images right away? Is that a large factor?
I think that's definitely a part of it. I think proofing galleries, if I was to, I still did do a la carte via proofing gallery for a while. Mm-hmm. And I was averaging 3 image sales at that point. Now just headshot land, I average 8. So
I'm going to guess that's because you said the word earlier. I can't remember what it was, but it was to do with the fact that you're showing right away. You just get her done. You're taking that off their plate.
Yeah.
That kind of, and it gives you control.
Yeah. And I don't hard sell. I really don't.
Don't have to, right?
Don't want to, if you hard sell me, I'm going to walk away. So I'm not about to do it to anybody else. I'm a big proponent of the first thing I want to do is I want to get them to know, which is counter to so many other sales things.
Interesting.
The first thing, there's safety in no, right? I want to give them permission to say no to me right out of the gate, because now it alleviates the I'm just out to get your money. He's like, no, that's cool.
So there's trust.
Yeah, it's the first thing I do. I only barely pre-cull while we're going through. So the first pass with people, it's okay, we're going to go through these together, and you're just going to say yes or no, yes or no, yes or no, and then we'll go from where we need to from there. But they get to tell me no, and I encourage it right out of the gate. If you don't like it, say no, and it makes a big difference.
Mm-hmm. Fascinating.
Yeah, because that was my next question. I was going to see if you do packages next. I used to do that. I used to do this much for the shoot plus one image. This much was for up to 3 images. This one was for up to 5, and then it was so much per image after that. But I forget who it was I was reading. Some other lady. I can't remember if she was from the States or in Canada. I think she was a Peter Hurley person too, and she did it. It was like $150. And that was just for the shoot alone. And then she charged a la carte per how many images you wanted, depending on what she charged. And so I've sort of changed to that. Now I've got a price now that's the shoot plus just that one image. But then everything else is just a la carte. There's no other packages like, here, you can just add on as many as you want. We'll just tack on this price to whatever you want.
I would encourage you not even to include the one.
No,
it's because in my brain now, do what's going to work for your business.
No, exactly.
But it's setting that buffer, so you're going to get people go, well, if one's included, I'll take the one and go.
Yeah,
I remove that governor all the way around, and they can still just take one. That happens, but I don't want to encourage them to just take one either.
No, exactly.
Like, no, take 20. I'm going to get tired of looking at your face, but take 20.
Exactly. Because I had a lot of people that were actually, they lugged my three image package, like you said, but that's all they took. But they liked it because they had one for their business cards, one they could use on their LinkedIn, and one they can use maybe for their signs if it's a real estate, or for their cover page or something. So
I love the use of the word buffer and governor. That's the word I was trying to think of a minute ago. So I got to ask you, Ben, session and everything else is whatever they order, and obviously your sales are strong. Do you have that classic system where you order 1 to 3, it's this price, and the price drops as you order more per file, which is kind of a la carte, but it's just
the only place I do that right now is on albums. I don't have it like for wall art or anything like that currently.
What
it's
about
not
headshots?
To say no, not with headshots at all.
So it's X amount of money. That's what it is. I don't care if you order 20, 15, 10. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of validity in that approach. You've got to put in the work. You are the man with the expert, the skill. You're delivering a valid product. They want it. They got the money.
Mm-hmm. And, I never want to put somebody in a place like where they're in a financial hardship. It's like don't go into like crazy, like don't mortgage your house to buy stuff from me. I mean, that's I want you to be able to buy groceries this week or whatever.
Yeah.
But also go, if it's none of my business what your financial situation is, and that's just the same way it's not any of your business what my the Royal York is, and I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money. I'm going to present a product and a service and do the best that I can. And I'm not going to pressure you to spend more than you're comfortable with, but I'm not going to stop you from spending either.
Yeah.
Well, but you are selling in a vacuum. I guess that's what I'm hearing too, because they're obviously with no pressure from you. Pressure from you. They're lining up. I love it. Absolutely. I'm going to make some changes in the way we market.
Well, I think he's like, he's in that niche market. He's got his 2 little categories. He does his headshots and he does his contemporary portraits or boudoir, whatever you want to call it. And he's not like with Rob, where Rob's like what he calls the switchblade knife or the Swiss Army knife of photography, where he's doing families, he's doing weddings, he's
5
doing
or 6 areas,
babies and that. So, and I'm starting to go more like Ben is too. Like I used to do weddings, and then I did it for like 15 years. I said no more. Haven't done them in 2 years. I used to do a lot of other stuff. I still do the local sports here and stuff like that, the volume stuff. But I'm starting to go more towards headshots and family portraiture, but more contemporary type family portraiture. And I'm trying to get more into that Ben Marcum, Sue Bryce contemporary portraiture kind of look in my stuff, and doing the gray backdrops and adding textures later, or even getting some of those Oliphants or something. I just can't afford them right now. but to be fair, if all I could do were just pop-up weddings and fairies, I'd be happy. I probably would even make more money because I'd be following that strategy that Ben mentioned earlier, laser focus. A niche.
Well, and a lot of it comes down to for me as well. It's like, I don't want to work for a living. It's like I have to enjoy what I'm doing. Like throughout my theater career, I could have easily taken my skill set from the theater with my managerial skill set that I had there, gone into corporate America and made a metric ton more money. I would have been miserable. And it's like, life is too short for me to be miserable. Like I was making a comfortable living in the theater, but I was doing what I loved to do. I didn't hate getting out of bed in the morning, you know, and that's, you know, so it's like, I'd rather not be rich, you know, than be miserable. Now I want to be rich too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not being that guy that's like, no, money's not important. No, money's wildly important.
Yeah.
But what all of this has also done is it's like, it's made me realize it's like, I also have an entrepreneurial brain. I love talking about business. I love growing businesses and finding other revenue streams to turn on. Like that excites me. It's like that gamification. And so it's, yeah, but all of it back around to the end of the day is like, I could go do weddings. I'd be miserable. It's not worth it to me to be miserable.
I hear you. It's kind of cool. We work in fields, and I hear this all the time, where we just love what we do. And I often think to myself, man, if other people knew how much fun we're having.
Yeah. But it's like everybody finds it like in different ways. Like, you know, my mother is a money and number person, and like nothing gets her more excited than to make a new spreadsheet. If I'm like, I need a spreadsheet that'll do this, this, and this, she's like, okay. Like she's so happy.
Your mother is your mother's a sick person. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know.
And she's also my accountant, so you know I've got to plug her there a little bit, right? But
no, I'm always poking fun at accountants because my wife is an accountant, and fair game. But can I ask you some questions? High key, low key. You seem to have both for your headshots. Do you have a preference? What determines how you're going to shoot them?
During headshots, actually, I shoot both.
Okay.
You know, it's such an easy thing to turn lights on and off, and it just increases my sales because now, you know, so I'm, you know, okay, I'm going to shoot it this way for a minute. Great. Flip these off. Now we're going to shoot it this way. Now they've got more options.
Nice.
So I do both really way on any of my sessions, and I'm actually in the new studio where I've got space. I'm probably going to start tossing some more colors in there and some different sets and things too.
Right.
Because it's, you know, just to go, great. Well, you're here. We got the headshot. Why don't you come sit in this chair and just be able to open it up to sell more.
That's really cool. Hey, what about your favorite? I can ask you some favorite questions here. What's
Rapid
your favorite?
fire.
Well, ish, yeah, because we're a little over just at the hour mark now, so we got to start winding her down. I want to ask you, what's your favorite camera? What do you use and lights? Not that it really matters, because it's a camera's a camera, a light is light. But I'm just curious. What you use?
I'm a Nikon guy. I'm currently shooting the D850 and then have my D800 in the bag as my backup.
Okay, well, thanks for coming. We don't need to talk to him anymore.
And Ben is now off screen. So it's when I took the photography class in high school, I was shooting an old like Nikon SLR from the 70s. So you know, it was like things like, well, I know Nikon, so let's go there. So that's you know.
I've been a Nikon shooter my whole life, but I switched to Sony mirrorless 5 years ago. But doesn't matter. I'm just curious, what kind of lights do you like to use? Are you Alien B or?
I'm currently all Alien B B800s. I started with them, and like I would love to have things that made the beeping noise and stuff, and like had remotes. But you know, I do. I just do it myself. It's click beep, and the client's in there.
They're like, "What's wrong with this guy?
Is he okay?" So it was much easier when I was working in the mask because they couldn't see what I was doing.
Easy to trick them.
Yeah. So I haven't had any reason to shift from my Alien Bs. Like as of right now, like they're getting the job done, and you know, it's a full spectrum of light. So you know, a flash of light is a flash of light. I'm good.
I agree 100%. I use Alien Bs, and John's thinking to himself, well, if you shot Canon, you'd be a better photographer.
No, I have an Alien B800 I use for my backlight when I'm doing the headshots, and like you said, just turn it off, it goes gray. But then I changed actually to the Einstein, still pulsy buff, but I have three Einsteins that I totally love, and I can actually go lower on power than I can with the Alien B if I need to when I'm doing the triangle. And then I've got my Godox ones that I just purchased, which are
I've
battery
heard a lot of good
powered,
things about Godox. Headshot crew guy, Pedro, uses them and has nothing but great things to say about them. So hopefully I get to check them out soon.
You got to try them. You're going to love them. So what is your favorite? Do you have a favorite photographer, a favorite marketing book, a favorite movie, and a favorite play? I get those questions in. You notice that? Boom.
All right. So, okay. Well, there are a lot of them. So favorite play. Let's start there because that's the one you hit me with.
Top of
yeah, he's a theater guy.
Yeah.
It's going to be one that I designed because, of course, I'm going to put myself over. So let's do a world premiere. It was a Neighborhood 3 requisition of Doom, which was super fun from a sound designer standpoint.
Nice.
So I got to build this whole video game world, really cool, and really heavy metal stuff, completely outside. It's no Death of a Salesman. Let's put it that way.
Right. So yeah, it sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's fun. It was a lot of fun. And there's others. I have billions of plays that not billions, hundreds of plays that I've done where I had a lot of fun. But anyway, so favorite marketing book. There's a couple. I actually a great one that's out right now, and it's more it's going to be more useful in the sales world. It's a Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss.
Heard of that one.
It's really great. I use those techniques all the time.
He's the FBI CIA guy.
Yeah.
Who was the negotiator. Right.
Yeah.
That book's on my list. Thank you for mentioning that. I am going to definitely get it now. What's the title again?
Never Split the Difference.
Never Split the Difference. Yeah, it's good stuff. He was actually just on Clubhouse the other night talking too, so I got to listen to him chat for not Clubhouse, House Party. I get those two. What's the new one called? Who am I? What's today? It is Clubhouse. That's what it is. Yeah.
I'm still a YouTube guy and Facebook.
Clubhouse. I think that's one Danielle was telling us about when we had her on here. Your daughter Danielle. Clubhouse.
Okay. Yeah, you can lose hours at a time on there. All right, so what were the other? You threw 50 at me at once. What are the others?
Favorite play, movie,
movie,
favorite photographer.
I don't know that I have one favorite movie. I like a lot of movies.
If you had to choose
one that if it comes on TV, you can watch it straight all the way through, even though you've seen it 10,000 times.
You're on a deserted island. You only got one movie to bring.
Okay, well, those are two different things. So the one that if it comes on TV and I'll watch it, no matter what, Tombstone is on there, especially during summer.
Really? Tombstone?
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Yeah. It's fun, but it's we go through seasons here too. We have our Heather and I, we have our seasonal movie. So Tombstone's in the middle of that one.
Okay.
On a desert island, one and only one, it's gonna be Empire Strikes Back.
There you go. Any Star Wars movie.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, I was about to pull an entire universe just to make things easier, but I think you guys would have been like, no, you get one.
Well, it's kind of forces you to choose, and it really summarizes in an iconic way
people's personality a bit. Yeah.
And that's
I'm more of a Shawshank Redemption or The Outsiders. Those are my two favorites.
Shawshank is great. I just put together a week or two ago, and this is how nerdtacular I am. The dude that plays the main prison guard in that movie, the big bad guy, that was the Kurgan from Highlander. How did I miss that for so long?
It's a good movie.
I've only seen both of those movies a million times. And the favorite photographer. Wow. Man,
of course, he's going to say Peter Hurley a little bit.
Well, go back to when you were starting out. When you're young and naive and you're like, oh, I really like that person, their style. We often go through that. Even if you're older, when you're getting into photography, it's a thing.
Yeah, for me, when I was first starting, it was Leibowitz.
Okay.
I like the drama of her stuff. So that was first starting into it, and then I keep discovering new people and things. I'm really loving looking at Platon stuff these days as I've gotten to know more about his work, and then listening to him talk, and you hear him talk about his work, and then you look at it again, and it's opens it up in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So man, there's Jimmy, and I'm not even going to attempt her last name, Dutch photographer right now. She's a face-meltingly awesome work. Holy cow.
Are you more the Vanity Fair Leibowitz, or are you more the Rolling Stone Leibowitz? Because I think there was two different styles myself.
Yeah, very different. Very. I'm more the Vanity Fair style.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the shot she did of the Queen, I absolutely love. I think she did a really great job of capturing, her style, but bringing some of the classic portrait vibe into it, and I think it was a really successful set.
Excuse me.
That's cool. Good to know. I think I'm almost out of questions.
Well, I think your style kind of lends a little bit to an Annie Leibovitz kind of style. When I look at your stuff, a mixture of like a Leibovitz, even a bit of Sue Bryce in there, and just the way you do your couples and things like that, or your girls, the way you shoot the girls and that. I think you got a bit of a Sue Bryce in there.
And I'm very inspired by Sue Bryce. I mean, you can look at my work and tell like where I studied, going through. It's, I studied Sue's stuff. I think Sue's platform is fantastic.
Yep.
I clearly studied under Peter, still do. I'm a mentor in the headshot crew as well, so I get to help other people do things. But then, I followed when Clay Cook was coming up and was like heavily influenced by Leibowitz. I was inspired by that, and there's a little bit of Joel Grimes in there, a little bit of Lindsay Adler in there, a little bit of Chris Knight in there. It's like there's been a lot of things that have kind of influenced the artistic goo between my ears.
Artistic goo. I got all these cool terms I'm writing down. I got buffer, governor, face melting good, and artistic goo.
The fact that I have not spewed out with any curse words yet is probably this has probably been like well, let's start over.
What's your favorite curse word? It's probably a 4-letter word. Starts with F.
It's motherfucker.
Fuckers. I just say fuckers.
Yeah, it's that one. The motherfucker comes out of. It's heard frequently in the Marcum Fleming household.
Yeah. I think 2 words that makes me think of Ben is inspirational, because he has this inspirational thing that not only you're inspired by other people, but you inspire others because you inspire my work. And then confidence. I think confidence is a big one because you're confident in yourself, your abilities, and your work, but you're also confident when it comes to your sales sessions. When I was listening to you talk about how you sell it and say, listen, this is what it is, this is what it's going to be, and you're confident that that's what it's going to be. You don't waver. If they come up to you and say, oh, well, I don't know if I can really afford it. Oh, well, let me see what I can do. No, you're just like, this is what it is. And unfortunately, don't break the bank. But at the same time, I got to feed my family too. So I love your confidence in every aspect of your business.
Thank you. And it's, we were actually just talking about this on Clubhouse in one of Peter's rooms earlier today. It's like, I didn't start out that way, right? Like, I started out and it was nerve wracking, and I had what so many other people have starting out, people going, nobody's ever going to buy this, or you're never going to be able to make money, or whatever.
He's met my wife.
Yeah, it's, it's a thing. And, it took me time to build, to get there, and a lot of Sue's teachings. Like, if not for Sue Bryce, I don't think I would have ever had
that's confidence
to start charging what I charge. Like, I remember the first time I did, there were like 3 different ones I remember. The first time I did a $600 sale, and I was like, oh, they're going to be mad. And then they were just like, no, here's my credit card. And I was like, oh, that's great. And, and then like I did like a $1,200 sale. And it was like, what the? And they were like, cool, here's my card. And the first time I did a $2,500, and I was still doing the reveal wall. So she took the wall, which is great. Yeah. And I was like, okay, it's going to be, and whatever sales tax was, like, it's like $2,700. And like, I physically shook when I reached for her card, and I ran it. She took her stuff, she left, and I sat at my desk for like 30 minutes going, she's going to come back and she's going to be mad as hell and want her money back.
Buyer's remorse.
Yeah, exactly. And she lived in Indianapolis, like an hour and a half up the road. So like 2 hours later, I get a phone call, and she's like, so we're all sitting at the dining room table going through all the images, and we love them so much. And I was like, okay, good. It was that, really, but it's like I had to hit those milestones to go,
Right.
oh no, people will. And it's like every time it's happened, like I think my biggest to date is like a 7K sale. And at first I was like, nobody's ever going to give me 7,000 for portraits of them in lingerie. And there we go. So
Exactly. No, I think it's good that you get it out there, because I bet you a lot of people that will end up, if they're not on here now, if they watch it later, we've all started that way. Because I know even Rob and I have had this discussion in the past where we both started out where we're always afraid to ask like for this much because we're afraid they're going to say no or that's too much. But we built our confidence, and it does take time, and you have to get that place, because everybody thinks, oh well, yeah, they know him, so they know they're going to pay a lot, so blah blah. You just have that confidence to just do it and say, here's what it is, and don't flinch. Just say, this is the price, and they'll be like, okay, and you're like, okay, so how would you like to pay for that? I think Sue Bryce, that was the biggest thing. She says, okay, here's how much it is. How would you like to pay for that? Because I watched that 28 Days of Sue Bryce or whatever, and you got to get that mentality.
And if you don't have it, you weren't there at one time, Ben, right? You said you had to hit those milestones. It's a process, right? It's a journey.
Yeah, it's like lifting weight. It's like, like the first time you go deadlift, if you like aim for a 400-pound bar, you're going to the hospital. Like you've got to, like you've got to work up to it. And there are other people out there who have that confidence right out of the gate, and they go, great, I'm going to go do this. Here we go. And they do it. And that's awesome. I love that for them. That's not everybody. So if you've got to go train and build those muscles, go train and build those muscles. That's cool. It's, we're not a sprint, you got nothing but time to keep. Now it's really great when you get there and, people are like, here's 5 figures, and you're like, awesome. Thanks. So
that's cool. Well, shall we let you go? When John was going on a few minutes ago, I thought that would have been the perfect way to end it, but then you ramped it up another level with your extra comments on that. This is golden stuff for it. Anybody, anybody at any level.
Me going, I won't stop. I mean,
that's like us. We could go for hours, and then people get bored and turn us off.
But it's good stuff. I was going to ask you advice for newbies. I'm not gonna, because what you had said 3 minutes ago was pure gold, and it really answers that question.
And we can always bring Mark back too.
Yeah, I'd love to have you back, Mark. I mean,
Ben. Marcum.
He called you Mark.
I know. I looked at Marcum at the time.
It does have a strong sound. It sounds very very Greek warrior. Ben Marcum has arrived.
I'll take it.
What was his name? It was Mark. I don't know. Don't worry, I'm Butler. I get it. I get it all. It's like always the Butler did it. So actually, that's my slogan on my business right now. It's right on my front windows there when it says, "If they ask, say the Butler did it." That's my slogan.
I love it. There's another headshot crew guy, a guy named Chris Gillette, and so his website is Like the Razor.
Yeah,
and it works.
It works.
Only sharper.
Yeah. Yeah, we do Santa pictures at the One Mall here, and we have the little cards that we put the pictures in, and they put my logo in there. And before, when the older manager that used to work there, she one time asked me for my logo, and I gave it to her, and I didn't have that on there, and she called me back. She's like, what happened to if they asked, say the Butler did it? And I'm like, oh, did I not send you that one? They're like, nope, can you send that one? We love that one on there. It's like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. See, that's great brand. I love that. It's recognizable. People think about it. That's great. I love it.
Yeah. So I think we got a lot of good stuff. We'll have to ask Ben back again and talk other stuff. Maybe we'll talk more about the photos and lighting and
get you back in about 4 or 5 months. That would be amazing. Are you in?
Yeah, just let me know. I'm around. Hopefully, within 4 or 5 months, I'll be in the new studio. Hopefully, it's worth showing at least parts of it by then. So
that
we'll do the next one there.
That would be really cool and a lot of fun to see the sort of like where you've settled in. And it sounds to me like you're settling in. You're going to be there for a while, and there's going to be a whole lot of amazing stuff coming out of that new location. I'm looking forward to seeing what it is.
I'm looking forward to it
as well. Thank you.
Perfect.
So we should an hour and 15 minutes. We're doing good. All right, so let's wrap it up, and we'll let Ben go. Ben, you're an amazing dude. This was face melting good.
I love that.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm glad I could melt a few. That's awesome.
Usually I get that just by looking at me, but
yeah, but that's a different face melt.
All right. Well, thanks for coming, Ben.
Context. I appreciate it.
And we'll keep in touch.
Love the beard, man. You're an awesome dude. Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thank you
Thanks.
so much, man. I had fun.
Good.
Good. Take